Welcome back. In this exercise, we're going to take what we've learned in the previous two lessons and sort of make it real. So to get yourself started, open up Edge, and when the application opens, select Create New from the Get Started menu. When you're working with graphics in Edge, you can see that the graphics drawing tools are, well, they're rudimentary to say the least. But you can bring in graphics that are SVG, PNG, GIF, and JPEG. And in this exercise, what we're going to do is create a little animation that sort of introduces an art exhibit. Now, to bring files in, what you do is you just go to File, Import, and I'm going to bring in the first file, Sky PNG, which is, as you can see, is the sky cut out of an image. And this was done in Fireworks, and the layer was exported as a 32-bit PNG. That means I get the transparency. So I click Open, and you can see that the file appears right up there in the upper left corner of the stage. Now, the next piece I want to bring in is the rest of the image. So it's Import, Image, PNG, Open. Now you got a couple of things here. If you take a look at the Elements panel, anything you bring in is sort of like brought in as Image 1, Image 2. Doesn't tell you a lot. If you click on the Only Show Animated Elements, you can see where they are in the layer. Okay, so by turning this off, you can see what you've brought in. So we've got the stage, Image 1, and if I turn off the visibility, you can see that's the sky. So I'm going to name this one Sky, so what I know I'm dealing with it. And Image 2, of course, is the foreground, so we'll just call that foreground. And you can see that the names here in the element panel show up. Okay, so what we want to do is have the word art sort of come rising out of the building here. So it's going to come between the foreground image and the sky, which is in the background. Now we've got a bit of a problem here, which is right here. We got a little bit too much of the stage showing. And you can shrink the stage just simply by scrubbing across it and bringing it in. Now when you do this, what you are actually doing is shrinking the div. So you notice you're not really cropping the image, you are cropping the div or shrinking the div. Okay, so I've got that in, and the actual width of the object, by the way, is 755 pixels, so I'm just going to make that 755. There we go. Now what I want to do is just create the word art and sort of have it rise. So you get the text tool, and you click, and you see there's this little box here. This is where the text gets entered. So I'm going to enter the word art. And you can see there it is there. And all the properties open up. Now I'm going to change it to Verdana to sort of match this word here. And I'm going to make it a whole lot bigger. So I'm going to make it 200 pixels. I'm going to make it 150 pixels in size. There it is there. And I'm just going to sort of get it lined up there. And bring it up to the top. Now you'll notice that it's really not following this perspective line. So I can actually go to my transform and I can rotate the word art. And if I bring it down, you can see that I've got a little bit of work to do here, but not much. So I'm just going to bring it up a degree. There we go. Now also it kind of looks like it's falling over the building. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of a skew. Sort of give it a little bit of perspective there. There we go. And what we've done here now is we've put the word art into play. So we're going to bring the word down, and we'll just sort of put it there. And we're going to move it on the y-axis. So I'm just going to pull the timeline out, we'll say to the 1 second mark, and pull the word art up. And I'm going to use the up arrow here just to make sure that it's moving in an absolute straight line. So there it goes. It's just coming up to where I want it to finish, right about there. And you can see that if you scrub across the timeline, the word actually does indeed come up. Now there's a small problem with this, and that's that the word art is in front of the foreground. I want it between the foreground and the sky. So all I have to do is select the word, modify, send backward. And there it is. And if I scrub and then hit the spacebar, the word art comes up. Other things that I can do here with the word art is I can go back to the start of the timeline, and I can now set the opacity of this to 0, or just a low opacity. No one's going to see it. So I'm going to come to the opacity setting, which is right here, and I'm going to pull the opacity down to, we'll say 50%. And you can see that the text now has an opacity property, and if I go across to the timeline, I can now jack the opacity to 100%, and I've got the animation happening. Okay, so there we go. Now another thing I'd like to have happen here is when it comes up, instead of have it just start, or stop I should say, I just want to give it a little bit of an ease. So I'm going to select the art, just like that, or just select the strip, and I'm just going to come here and I'm going to say ease out back. And let's see what that does. Oh, well, that's much better. So notice how that smoothly dropped into place. Now that I've got the word in place, what I'd like to do is sort of like to hold this animation for a second and then have the word art go back behind. Easy enough to accomplish. What you can do here, and this is one of the cool things I love about working with Edge, is I can select the strip, I can copy it, Command or Control C, and then let's hold it for a second, come to the 2-second mark, and then edit, paste inverted. And you notice that the whole timeline shows up, and if I come back to the 2-second mark, down it goes. So let's see how that looks. Not bad. Not bad at all. So there you go. There's using the timeline to create some rather interesting effects, including easing. In the next example, we're going to get a little bit deeper into it and use some of the eases to show you how to create some rather fascinating animations. I'll see you there.